Wouldn't you guess? Another weight loss pill is here. But the real question is not whether it works. The real question is whether your body it actually needs to be heard. Welcome to the True Wellness Podcast with Dr. Z, where we explore what it takes to live with vitality, balance, and purpose. I am Dr. Z, and each week I will bring you powerful tools, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you thrive in every area of your life. From health and wellness to mindset and navigating life's challenges, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of true well-being. Be sure to check the show notes and grab your copy of the True Wellness Checklist so you can get started on your journey right away. Now, let's get started. Welcome back to True Wellness with Dr. Z. So today we are talking about the new weight loss pill that everyone is talking about. The buzz is all over social media. But more importantly, we are going to talk about women in menopause and perimenopause and the things that they need to understand before letting the headlines, before letting social media, before letting their own exhaustion make the decision about it for them. Because that is really what this conversation about. It's not just about a pill. So for those of you who don't know, Reuters reported recently that oral weight loss pills are actually drawing strong interest because they're cheaper, they're more convenient than all the injections. And in fact, the FDA-approved Lilly's Fondeo on April 1st. And the AP reported that menopause products in general are like heavily being pushed across social media. So now menopause and menopause, that is like the new push, the new thing that's all over the place. So let's dive in because this is important. And, I'm a strong believer in quick pay attention. When everything is moving in one direction, you want to start to ask yourself why and what's happening. Because it's about like the woman who feels like her body changed the rules without telling her. It's about the woman who says, I swear I'm not doing anything differently. So why does everything feel harder now? It's about the woman who used to feel like she was steady, she was clear, she was in control, but now she's inflamed, she's uncomfortable, she's hungry like at strange times or all the time. She's exhausted all day. She's wired at night, but she's like confused by what used to work, or she's gaining weight, right? The thing that's making everybody really vulnerable these days, especially women in menopause and perimenopause. So, the time that women enter this phase of life is usually when they're most vulnerable, right? When women become tired of fighting with their bodies, when they're discouraged enough and they really just are looking for relief. And all of a sudden the internet shows up, and the internet is like the loudest salesman. It's like the salesman's no longer like banging on your front door. It's like right in front of you as you scroll. And heaven forbid you look at one thing regarding perimenopause or menopause, you can bet that everything else in your scroll is showing up that way. So if you're like looking at weight loss or belly fat or things like that, so is the rest of your scroll, right? It's like, here's a fix, here's the answer, here's a shortcut, here's the thing everybody is suddenly talking about. And this is the moment that we need to, as consumers, right? As women, as professionals, as high performers, this is the moment that we need to bring in discernment. Because the truth is, pain really, it makes people easy to persuade, right? If a marketer can hit on your pain point, and I tell you, you guys, as a business owner, right? As a practitioner, and it's like, okay, my job as a business owner is to bring in more clients. And what we're taught is that, hey, the marketing needs to really touch those pain points, because when you reach those pain points, people are easier to persuade. And when someone's dealing with weight gain or cravings or brain fog or fatigue, or they're not sleeping, or their motivation has dropped, or their mood is kind of all over the place, and they're just kind of in their space where they're not quite feeling like themselves, convenience starts to really look like, salvation, right? The pill feels easier. The pill feels cleaner. The pill feels less dramatic than an injection, or the pill feels like maybe finally there's something simpler. It feels easier than a dietary change, or easier than looking for the underlying root causes. So I want to be very grounded in this conversation today. I don't want it to be a rant. I don't want this to be a fear-based lecture. This is not the what is evil episode. This is also not, this is the miracle you've been waiting for episode. It's not that. So today's episode is really about, it's a real conversation, because that is what is missing. There is so much noise out there. There is so much noise in the marketplace, and there's too much certainty from people who have never actually sat in your body. Okay. There's too much selling. There's too much reacting. There's too much like black and white thinking. It's, almost none of it is actually helping women think more clearly. And let me say this, right at the beginning. So this episode is educational. It is, first of all, not personal medical advice. I'm not, here to give you that. I'm not telling, every woman that she should take or she should not take a GLP-1. I'm not saying that. Okay. I'm not telling you that if you're, going to make a serious decision about your body, right? If that's what you're going to do, you need a serious framework for thinking. And that is the most important thing. And that's the message that I really want to drive home today. And yes, we're going to talk about these weight loss, pills and injections and stuff today, the GLP-1s, but this really applies to anything that you are dealing with. And it's important now more than ever, because the algorithms are literally running the show in what you see. Okay. So we've got to be discerning. So that's what this episode is, because your body is not a trend to manage. Your body is a relationship for you to rebuild. Now, let me ask you this question, right? Why do you think this topic about GLP-1s right now is so loud? Why is it all over the place? Okay. And it's really because that weight loss medication conversation just shifted, right? For a while, that dominant public image was the injection. And that one kind of filtered people out. Some women were curious, but they did not want the hassle. Some didn't like the idea of needles. Some did not, want refrigeration. Some simply felt that, hey, injections made the whole thing feel too intense, too medical, too serious. But now the conversation just started to feel different, because a pill enters the picture and suddenly people are not even considering that category, right? They start paying attention because it's not the injection anymore. And that matters, because easier access to things changes behavior. When suddenly something seems more convenient, it seems a little bit more discreet, it seems more normal, more just like, hey, take this and move on with your day. It then starts to become psychologically easier to actually say yes to it. And I understand that. I really do. I mean, if you're exhausted enough, if you're frustrated enough, if you're uncomfortable in your body enough, almost anything sounds easier, and it starts to get your attention. So I want to really begin this conversation with compassion, right? You're not weak for wanting to be interested in the next weight loss pill. You're not superficial for wanting your body to feel better. You're not vain for caring about your weight or your shape or your confidence or the way you feel in your own skin. You're not foolish for being curious. You're human. And the problem itself is not curiosity. The problem is making a big decision with a little teeny tiny framework. See, the problem is taking something that's very complex, the midlife body, and reducing the whole story to one question. Will this make me lose weight? That question is too small, because by the time most women are asking about a weight loss medication in midlife, the real issue is rarely just weight. And I can tell you that from being in practice nearly 20 years, that has always been the case. I know always is a strong word, so let's back it up. Okay, I don't want to make false claims. Almost always been the case. Okay, the real issue is often a combination of metabolic disruption, sleep problems, stress overload, and I'll say that again, stress overload, because it's a big one. Okay, inflammation, hormonal change, body distrust, body disconnection, emotional fatigue, blood sugar instability, low muscle mass, digestive issues. I mean, essentially, it's years trying to force the body instead of stopping, slowing down, and trying to understand it. So when I hear women talking about these medications, I'm not just hearing a medication conversation. Okay. I'm hearing grief. I'm hearing frustration. I'm hearing, I don't recognize my body. I'm hearing, I'm doing so much and I'm getting so little back. I'm hearing, I'm so scared. This is just how it is now for my body. And this is what makes this conversation real and tender, you guys. And that's exactly why it deserves more intelligence, more attention, more research, more understanding than what the internet or social media really gives it. Okay. So let's slow this down. Okay. So at a high level, GLP medications, they may help regulate appetite. They may help satiety, right? Feeling you feel full. For some people, they might reduce that food noise. That's what a lot, what you hear most often. For some, they might create, that can create more space and make it easier for them to feel satisfied with less food. Okay. For some, it might be part of a, medically appropriate plan. I mean, this is a fair conversation to have. Okay. And I really want to be fair, because some people in the wellness world, the truth is, right, they can lose all credibility the second they feel threatened by something medical, and they immediately sort of move into ideology, and they talk as if the nuance is betrayal, and they either demonize the entire category or they act as if everyone is taking one in some way has failed. And I don't want to do that. That's kind of lazy thinking. And it's not what I call body-led, right? A body-led lens does not start asking, do I personally like or dislike this category? Okay. A body-led lens asks, what does this tool actually do? What does it not do? Where might it fit? What happens if it's used without enough context? What does it do within the body? Does it actually serve the body? And those, I think, are much better questions. Okay. So first, let us acknowledge, right, what these medications are doing. Okay. And I want to be really clear. Okay. So they may help with appetite. They may lower some of the mental chatter around food. They may help people interrupt long patterns of, overeating or snacking. They might create that relief that, someone doesn't feel like hijacked by hunger all day, right? They may offer, something medically useful for someone with obesity or weight-related health concerns. Those things are real, okay? And if we refuse to admit them or acknowledge them, then we're not being honest in this conversation. So I do want to do that. But here is where I need every woman, that's listening right now. So all of you, I need you to pay close attention right here. Okay. Because a quieter appetite is not the same thing as a healed system. Okay. A quieter appetite is not the same thing as a healed system. And that is a sentence that really, truly matters. Okay. Especially when we're talking about many different side effects and what those side effects mean for the body, especially over the long term. So when a system is healed, right? I mean, it may create an opening, it may create leverage, it may lower the volume of one piece of the problem, the different options, but it does not automatically resolve what's happening underneath, the underlying root causes, right? The terrain underneath it that still needs to be corrected. So for example, if your nervous system is chronically activated, okay, you're always stressed out, you're always like up, a pill is not going to automatically change that. If your sleep is wrecked, a pill is not automatically going to restore restorative sleep. If your stress chemistry is off, a pill is not automatically going to make your days feel calmer, okay? If you are under muscled, right? You haven't been building muscle as you're moving into middle age. If you're undernourished, if your minerals are depleted, if you're constipated, if you're inflamed, if your hormones are off because your hormones are already going through changes and all these other things are already taking place in your body, then a pill is not going to suddenly restore all of that. Okay. And if you've been emotionally disconnected from your body for years, a pill does not rebuild that trust. It just doesn't. And this is where women get trapped. They experience like a symptom improvement in one area and assume that the whole system has been resolved. And that, unfortunately, is not always true, right? Sometimes it's a bridge. Sometimes it's a support. Sometimes it's a useful tool in a larger, plan. But the tool is not the whole plan. And if you don't know that, then you can actually miss the deeper message your body's actually trying to send you, okay? Because symptoms are signals. I always use the example of a check engine light, right? If like when you have a symptom, it's like the check engine light of your body going off. And if you pop a pill to make that symptom go away without actually fixing what's happening, and imagine what happens if you're in a car and your check engine light goes off and all you do is put a Band-Aid over it. Your car is going to break down. Your body is the same. Those symptoms are signals. Your body is not randomly betraying you. Your body is adapting. Your body is compensating. Your body is speaking in the language it has available to tell you that something else is wrong, that something else is off, that something else needs to be adjusted. Now, I know some people hear that and think it sounds soft. It's not soft, you guys. It's accurate. Your body's always trying to survive the environment that it's in. So if you're inflamed, there is a context, right? If you're exhausted, there is a context. If you are having cravings all the time, there is a context. If your weight is changing, there is a context. If you're not sleeping well, if your sleep's not stable, that's a context. If your metabolism feels different, that's a context. And when we jump very quickly into how do I shut this down without asking what is creating this pattern, then we turn the body into an enemy. Honestly, I think that is one of the biggest mistakes in modern health and in modern wellness today. People treat the body like a stubborn machine instead of as an intelligent system. And when you do that over and over and over and over long enough, you end up very disconnected. You have this disconnected relationship to your own physiology. Okay. Now, let us get even more specific because women in midlife are not just dealing with weight. Okay. They're dealing with a total shift in how the body feels and in how the body is operating. And if we have had years and years of disregarding our body, when we hit middle age, when we hit that perimenopause, menopausal time, you better bet like the signals are going to get really, really loud. And this is where a lot of women get deeply discouraged because what used to work no longer works the same way. And maybe you I don't know, maybe you used to cut back a little and in terms of like what you're eating and you saw changes really quickly, or maybe you used to work out harder and then your body would like respond, or maybe you used to bounce back after stress so much more easily, or maybe you used to have like, you had more margin. Then all of a sudden, perimenopause, menopause, it hits and suddenly the whole thing feels differently. Right? You gain weight more easily, you hold weight differently, your appetite cues change, your sleep changes, your ability to, tolerate stress changes, your mood changes, your snapping at things, your recovery changes, your relationship with alcohol changes, your resilience changes, your patience changes. The list goes on. If you're in that range, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Put it in the comments. Tell me what you're dealing with. Leave that in the message there. And people say ridiculous things like, hey, you know what? You just need to eat less and move more. And that advice is just not helpful. It's actually insulting in its simplicity, because a midlife female body is not a math problem. And this is where I want women to really feel deeply seen. Because if you've looked in the mirror and you felt like your body has become unfamiliar, that is a real experience. If you have felt discouraged by how much effort it seems to take to get the same result, that's a real experience. Okay? If you felt ashamed because something that used to feel manageable now feels hard, well, that's a real experience. We can't dismiss that. And the unfortunate thing is that is exactly why the marketing lands so hard, and why, we see people just buying stuff off of social media and trying stuff and following these trends. And the algorithm knows you. Okay. But the truth is, midlife women are not just being sold weight loss. They're being sold relief from confusion, right? They're being sold hope that maybe they're not stuck like this forever. They're being sold the possibility of feeling like themselves again. And that's why this category is so emotionally charged. That's why it's blowing up all over the internet. So instead of reacting, let us think, right? I really invite you to stop, freeze, pause, and think. What problem am I actually trying to solve? That's the real question. Not, should I take this because everyone else is talking about it? Not, should I avoid this because someone on the internet called it poison? Not, should I do this because my friend lost 20 pounds? But it really should be, what problem am I trying to solve? Am I trying to reduce the appetite? Am I trying to stop the constant snacking? Am I trying to improve my blood sugar control? Am I trying to lower a health risk? Am I trying to feel less, out of control when it comes to food? Am I trying to feel attractive again? Am I trying to escape the distress of not recognizing my body or feeling comfortable in my body? Am I trying to compensate for poor sleep or high stress or, losing muscle tone or unstable routines? Those are not the same problem. And different problems require different solutions. And that's what I mean when I say body-led, right? Body-led means I do not begin with the trend. I begin with the terrain. I begin with what's happening in my body. I do not begin with what's popular. I begin with what my body is actually communicating. I do not begin with, how do I force my body to comply? No, I begin with, what is the body adapting to? Why is my body behaving this way? And what support does it actually need? That's a different philosophy than what's happening. I also think, and I've studied this for a while, I also think it's a better one. Now, I want to give you 5 body-led questions that I want every single one of you to sit with before you make a decision about a medication like, these weight loss pills that are coming down the pike here. And the first question is this: what is my body actually asking for? And this is different. It's like, not what does the ad promise, not what is everybody buzzing about, not what seems easier, but what is my body actually asking for? Is it asking for blood sugar stability? Is it asking for more protein? Is it asking for more real nourishment? Is it asking for better sleep? Is it asking for support around stress? Is it asking for strength training and muscle building? Is it asking for, hormone regulation or evaluation? Is it asking for digestive support? Is it asking for a calmer rhythm instead of like emergency mode all day long? The body, your body, it has a language. The problem is most people have not been taught to listen to it. So they've actually been taught to override it, to shame it, to suppress it, to outsmart it, to punish it, to compare it. But listening is different. Listening requires honesty. Okay, second question is this: am I looking for support or escape? That question cuts, right? That question hurts. Because support is clean, right? It is, it's clean, but escape is seductive. Oh my gosh, yes. Support says, hey, I'm willing to use a tool as part of like a bigger, honest plan. Escape, it says, I need to make any discomfort disappear because I cannot tolerate being where I am. Now, support builds capacity. Escape, well, it just delays the truth. Now, I want to be clear, right? Wanting relief does not make you weak. But if relief becomes the only goal, you can make choices that temporarily lower discomfort while actually never address what's driving it. And that matters, right? That matters a lot because the result at the end, long term, becomes very different. Okay. Now, the third question is this: have I actually assessed the major layers affecting my body right now? So have you assessed sleep, stress, protein, muscle mass, blood sugar, hormones, digestion, inflammation, daily rhythms, emotional eating patterns, lifestyle overload? Again, this does not mean that you must achieve perfection, right, before you consider medication. It means you make the decision from context, not from chaos. Because a serious decision made without context is not empowerment. Okay? You are not empowering yourself if you're making decisions from a place where you don't understand why it's happening. What you're doing then instead is you're just reacting. Okay, so I want to encourage you not to just react, but actually to step back and kind of look at things from a higher level to figure out what it is that will really honestly serve your body. Okay? Now, here's a fourth question for you. The fourth question is this: if I use a medication, what am I pairing it with so I don't lose myself in the process? Yeah, this one's huge, you guys, because I don't want women shrinking the number on the scale while losing strength. I don't want them eating so little that their body composition gets worse. Right? I don't want women becoming less obsessed with food, but still exhausted, undernourished, disconnected. I don't want, this is a big one, I don't want women confusing smaller with healthier because they are not the same. And I certainly don't want women relying on appetite suppression without rebuilding trust in rhythm, in real support, and addressing any of the emotional stuff that might be underlying. So, if a medication enters the plan, what enters with it? What are you doing with it, right? Are you getting adequate protein? Are you strength training? Do you have mineral support? Are you hydrating? Are you supporting your sleep? Is your digestion supported? Is your hormones aligned? Is your nervous system regulated? Is there a real maintenance strategy? Is there a practitioner that you're working with who understands the entire picture? Okay, because a medication without a framework can become a version of the same old pattern. Chase the result, ignore the body, create rebound, feel frustrated, start over again, right? And that cycle, some of you are laughing, is because it's familiar. That cycle is exhausting, okay? And we haven't even touched on what the side effects are when we do those kind of things. So here's the fifth question, okay? So the fifth question, what does success actually mean for you beyond the scale? I'll say it again. What does success actually mean for you beyond the scale? And I'll tell you that question gives women back their power. That puts that power back in your hands, because if the only thing you measure is weight, you can miss quite seriously the actual quality of your life. So success might mean steady energy. It might mean less food obsession, better labs, more confidence, better sleep, fewer cravings, better body composition, more strength, clear thinking, less inflammation. I don't know. It could mean a more peaceful relationship with your body, a calmer nervous system, a deeper sense that your body is finally becoming your ally again. And those are much more meaningful standards than just a number on the scale, okay? Now, let me talk about one more piece here, because I think that this is important and it doesn't get enough attention. The midlife body is not just changing hormonally, okay? It's often changing relationally. And what do I mean by this? A lot of women, they've spent years living from the neck up, right? Thinking, managing, pushing, performing, holding everything together, ignoring cues, skipping meals, overusing caffeine, under recovering, handling everybody else, being fine. Anybody else? Fine, right? Doing what needed to be done. That's the way it happens, especially when we're raising kids or we're in successful careers and we're doing these different things. But here's what happens in midlife, man. The body starts pushing back, not because it's dramatic, but because it is done being ignored. It's like, hey, and for many women, I mean, this is the deeper initiation of midlife. It's not just about hormones. It's about the body refusing to be treated like an afterthought any longer. And I mean, that's why I actually believe that this stage can be really powerful. And I say this as someone who is always recovering from all of those things, right? Pushing, taking care of everybody else, all of that stuff, right? I've always got to be aware and present to it. But, it's powerful. And yes, it's annoying at times, right? It's humbling, absolutely. But it's powerful because it forces a question a lot of women have been avoiding for years. And that is, will I finally learn how to be in relationship with my body instead of just demanding performance for it? And that's real. That's the real work. And there's no medication, there's no supplement, there's no protocol, there's no trend that can actually do that for you. Okay? You may need support in the process. You may need to make space for the process. Those things may even be useful, but they cannot replace that relationship. That's why I will always come back to this. The goal is not just to weigh less. The goal is to feel like yourself again, right? The goal is to feel steady in your own skin, to feel clear, to feel strong, to trust your body again. The goal is to stop living at the mercy of every new promise, every new headline, every new product, every new expert telling you that they have the answer. Now, I mean, because I want to be responsible here, let me say this too. I get it. Like, these things they're real medications. They have real warnings. They have real side effects. They are not casual little wellness accessories. And that means that this is not the kind of thing to decide based on a reel or a before and after photo, or, some woman on the internet who says she feels amazing. And then, it links to a code. This is not discernment. That really is outsourcing, right? And I know sometimes it comes from a place of desperation, but I do not want that for you. I do not want that for anybody. Okay. But I also do not want the opposite mistake where you also become too rigid or so reactive or so ideologically committed to like one thing that you can't consider things with clarity. So you guys, dogma is not wisdom. I want to be clear about that. It's that discernment piece that really is wisdom. So if you're listening to this and you feel torn, here's my guidance. Slow down. Slow down enough to tell the truth. To tell the truth about what you're feeling. To tell the truth about how tired you are. To tell the truth about your habits. To tell the truth about your body composition. Tell the truth about your sleep, about how much stress you are carrying. Tell the truth about whether food has become comfort, reward, rebellion, control, escape. Tell the truth about how much you've actually been overriding your body. Tell the truth about whether you want healing, relief, or both. Because when you tell the truth, the decision gets a lot cleaner. It gets a lot cleaner. I mean, maybe the decision's yes. Maybe the decision's not yet. Maybe the clean decision is yes, but only with a fuller plan. Maybe the decision is no. This is not the right tool for me at this time. Or no, I don't want to put my body through this. I want to take the time that I need to get to the underlying root cause. I mean, all of those can be intelligent decisions. The only person who can make the decisions for you is you, right? What is not intelligent is panic. What is not intelligent is shame. What is not intelligence is comparison. What is not intelligence is collapsing a whole body conversation into one desperate hope. So let me leave you with this, because this stuff is going to be all over in these next coming weeks and months. And I know many of you are going to be like, oh my God, I need to do this because of all the things that we talked about. The new weight loss pill, it's not the villain, okay? But it is not the savior. It is a tool entering a culture that is already overmarketed, under-rested, overstimulated, and profoundly disconnected from the body. And this is the real issue, not the existence of the tool itself, but the state in which people are choosing it. And that is why I keep saying this. Your body's not an obstacle. It is not a machine that you have to bully. It is not a trend that you have to manage. Your body is intelligent. Your body is adaptive. Your body is speaking. And the question is whether you are finally willing to listen. And I mean, if you choose a tool like this, do it from partnership, not panic, right? Do it from context, not comparison. Do it from discernment, not desperation. Do it in a way that protects your strength, your nourishment, your clarity, your relationship with your body. But remember, smaller is not always healthier. Faster it's not always wiser. And quieting one symptom does not mean that the whole system has now found coherence. In fact, it doesn't work that way. The real win is this. You feel steady. You feel strong. You feel nourished. You feel clear. You feel at home in your body again. You know how to hear what your body is asking for instead of just shutting it down. Because a lot of times we get to this point in our life, I'm in midlife, and weight is there for a profound reason. There is so much healing and growth that can come from really connecting with yourself and your body at that much deeper level. And you have to stop handing your authority over to some new trend with some good branding, right? That's the standard. That's the conversation. That's what I mean when I say body-led. So I'm glad to have you all here for this episode of True Wellness with Dr. Z. And leave a comment. I want to know what you heard from this, because this is a really important message for me. This is at the heart and soul of why I do what I do. And I've got to tell you that I'm going to say like the last year, 2 years, 3 years, the marketplace is getting so much louder than the body. I'm seeing it all over the place. Even with practitioners, I gave a keynote just a couple weeks ago where I spoke to a group of practitioners, and it was the same message. It was like, hey, as fellow practitioners, we need to come from this space of integrity, not be driven by the trends and the, affiliate commissions and this, that, and everything else, but to really come back to that space of discernment. So I'm inviting all of you to do that too. And yeah, leave me a comment. I want to hear all about it. Until next time. This is Dr. Z reminding you to tune into your body, connect with what matters, and embrace your journey to true wellness. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who's ready to redefine their health. Be sure to grab a copy of the True Wellness Checklist right in the show notes. Let's keep redefining wellness and empowering change together. See you for the next episode.